Welcome to the first video of what is going to be a series of videos explaining kind of the basic structure of our final project this year, which is going to be BrickBreaker. Now, you may all have your own theme. Some of you are going to take this very far, possibly have many different bricks. Some of the bricks might have different strength than others. Some of you might add a lot of graphics, perhaps some sound, some pictures, some textures, perhaps multiple instances of a ball bouncing around. Yeah, hopefully you all have different looking projects at the end of this. And these videos are just going to help you kind of reach each step. So I'll show you some code, and then I expect you to kind of continue and do a lot more from there. So what you're looking at here is kind of step one of this project. Obviously, we're going to do more than this. I'm just going to run this program one more time, just kind of restart it. And here we go. And I've made it so that I can't resize this. I can move it around the desktop, but I can't resize the screen. And as soon as I click my arrow keys, then my paddle moves and my ball starts moving. And then, of course, I can knock out that blue brick at the top. And then it just keeps on going forever until it hits the ground. And then I just made it stop. Of course, you could make it a little more flashy and have an ending screen, perhaps show their score or something like that. But this will be the first checkpoint. I want you all to make something that looks like this and then submit it to me on Google Classroom, just so I know you're not too far behind. So if you see on the left, you can see our basic setup here. We're going to have a main class which creates an instance of a BrickBreaker game. And within the BrickBreaker game, we're going to have ball objects, brick objects, and paddle objects. So as much as I'd love to show you this code, I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to have you create it. But I'm going to get you started today in this video on the ball class. And then once we create the ball class, I'll help you a little bit with the main method and this thing here. You might be wondering what BrickBreaker game is, what kind of object that is. So once we get these three working, then we can actually run the program, and at least we'll get the ball moving around the screen. Okay, so I am going to close this, and I'm going to create a brand new project. And I'm going to save this to my desktop, and I'm going to call it BrickBreaker 1. Okay, so this is part 1. Press create, and I'm going to close my other one, the one that I already have complete. So we're brand new, and hopefully you know by now, when you create a new project in BlueJ, it creates a folder for you here as well. So inside this folder, you'll put all of your Java classes and also any images that you have. So if you want to have a background wallpaper, or a little globe instead of a ball, or little textured bricks, all your files will go in here. Even audio files, if you wanted to add that, they would go in here as well. Okay, so back to my project. We are going to start by making a new class, and this is going to be called ball, of course. All right, and we'll get rid of all this code. So very first thing we're going to do is create our header, public class ball. And now we have to think of our instance variables. So what might a ball include? Well, first thing a ball must have is a position on the screen, so an XY value. So let's make two ints, X and Y, and these will represent the actual pixels of where the ball is located. Now, you could make these represent the center of the ball or the top left corner of the ball. It may be easiest to make this the top left corner at this point. That's what I'm going to do. We might decide to change it later, but we'll leave it like that for now. You may want a size integer. Now that might represent the radius, or it might represent the diameter. I think in my program, I believe I made this the diameter, so, or the width, the entire width of the ball. And I believe I made this the top left X value and the top left Y value. Hopefully you know what I mean by that. The top left corner of the imaginary square that encompasses our circle. Okay, other instance values. We want to have a direction. So what direction the ball is traveling in, and we're going to split that up into two components. We're going to have a delta x or dx, and then a delta y or dy. Okay, so if dx is 0 and dy is 5, then the ball is just going to be moving straight downwards. It won't have any horizontal movement. So obviously these won't be 0. They're always going to be moving. The ball will be moving diagonally pretty much for the whole game. Color. So this is not absolutely necessary, but I think it might be nice to, maybe eventually we'll have 2 or 3 balls on the go, and each one could be a separate color. So it might be nice to have this functionality here. All right, so I am going to let you make 2 constructors. So I'm not going to tell you what to put in here, but we're basically going to need a few parameters. So I will let you do that constructor. Default constructor, yeah, we may not use this, but let's put one in anyway. So set default values for all of our 6 instance variables. Okay, so these are the constructors. So I'll let you work on that. You can either pause the video now and do that, or you can come back to that later. And then we are going to add accessors and mutators for every instance variable. So I believe we're going to have 12 methods there, and we should have one just in case. We should have one for every instance variable. Okay, so I will let you, again, pause the video, go and do that, and then come back, or you can come back and do that later. All right, so now we get to some tricky stuff here. So we're going to want another method for each ball object, and we're going to make a move method. So again, in another class, like in a tester or a main class, we might have a ball object called B1, and then we're going to say B1.move. This is going to accept a graphics object. So if you've ever worked with applets or JFrames before, you might know that we work with a graphics object called G usually, and that is basically just our canvas. And on G we can say set color, fill oval, draw rectangle, draw rect. So all of these methods you can use on graphics object G. Oh, in order to use this, we have to import, before I forget, we have to import java.awt.star and javax.swing.star. Okay, now let's go back down to move. All right, so in this method here, we're literally just going to we're going to change the x value to x plus dx. So we're going to take the existing x value and add dx to it, and that will be our new x, and then we're going to draw the ball at that position. You can also do the same line of code by saying this, x plus equals dx, and then we'll do the same with y as well. All right, and then you don't have to do it this way, but I decided to create another method called draw. So that this is going to be the method that draws the ball, and I'm going to create that right here. So public void draw. Again, this accepts a graphics G object. Okay, and then in here, I'm going to set my color to color. And that is a variable. That's one of my instance variables that I created up top. So that's this thing here. So whatever the color the tester chooses to set my ball at, that's the color I'm going to change it to right here. And then I'm going to fill oval. So I'm going to draw a oval at position X, Y. And the width is going to be size, and the height is going to be size. Okay, these are all instance variables that I've defined up top. So yes, X and Y will represent the top left corner of the ball. So it's important to know that when we start doing collision detection. And then the size of the ball represents the total width, or the diameter, and then it also represents the height, also the diameter. Okay, so do we have an ending to the class? Yes, we do. Okay, so let's give that a compile. Oh yes, of course it doesn't like my 3 dots. So I will let you fill that in. Yes. Okay, so I'll give you a little hint here. This is going to accept an int x, an int y, an int size, int dx, int dy, and a color. Okay, we might as well finish this. Hopefully you pause it and you did it already, but let's just get this in here. So, okay, hold on. What if this parameter is exactly the same name as this? Then we can use this. Literally, this dot x is assigned x, and this dot y is assigned y. This dot size is assigned size, and so on. So this is totally acceptable, or you can think of different names for these, like x1, I guess, or y1, and then you don't have to say that this keyword. But this is totally fine if you do it this way. So we should be able to compile now. Okay, so that's the ball class. Unfortunately, I have nothing to run right now. I don't have a tester method. So we hope that this all is working. But I'm going to end the video here, and we will, in the next video, we'll actually make a tester class. We'll create an instance of a ball object, and then hopefully we'll get that to move around the screen.